You're watching Cape Media News, brought to you by Cape Media Center.
Tonight on Cape Media News, the Cultural Center of Cape Cod AI art exhibit.
Plus, a look at next week's Big Blue Conference.
And Barnstable speaks at Beach Rally.
These stories and more coming up next on Cape Media News.
It is April 26th, and welcome to Cape Media News, your source for hyperlocal news that matters. I'm Lauren Williamson.
And I'm Mitch Sock. Our top story tonight takes us to Craigville Beach, where last Sunday, Barnstable Speaks, a grassroots organization formed last fall in opposition to offshore wind, held a rally for like-minded groups to share information.
So today, in this place, we are drawing a line in the sand. That is the name of the song I've written for you today. It looks like they're coming ashore under the beaches and the ocean floor, and shivering right past your front door. They're coming ashore.
Today's event was great. It's a super important subject. It's about not only just saving the ocean and the Nantucket Sound and the fishing grounds offshore. This today was also about the onshore nightmare that the wind industry is starting to create.
So this is really bad idea. And because the feds and the folks at the state level have these arbitrary goals to have everybody drive electric vehicles and live off wind energy, which is intermittent, we can talk about that too. Because we have these arbitrary goals of being fossil fuel free by 2030. It's 2024, people. It's not going to happen. These arbitrary goals are significantly negatively affecting humans.
Today you heard a lot of information that you do not see in the newspapers. You heard today about the danger to our sole source aquifer from offshore or onshore oil transformer substations, electromagnetic fields that are already registering in the cable landing up the street at Colville Beach.
These signs right here, in about a month, when you drive through Colville Beach, the town of Barnstable is actually going to be posting signs warning folks about the stray voltage that's already coming off the cable that came into Colville Beach. I can walk over there with an electromagnetic sensor and it will actually give me a reading on that. As a result of that, you have to be careful with folks that have pacemakers, people who have medical implants. The stray voltage can actually affect those. So there's actually going to be signage warning folks down on Colville Beach shortly, within probably a month.
It's never been about the grid. It's always been about the greed. Taking the lowest bid and watch Cape Cod bleed.
These shenanigans up there in Boston are really going to hurt us here on Cape Cod. I was just talking with someone about why are they trying to kill the goose that laid the golden egg? This is a tourism-based economy. There are going to be high voltage buried cables. Who wants to bring their children and grandchildren to play on a beach like that? Okay, so this is why we fight. And thank you all. I mean, I got to thank Barnstable Speaks is fantastic. There's a petition going around against the recommendations of CEISP. Let me just say this: I never ran so much as for a class president. I am so angry about this. I'm running for office this fall just because we need more voices up there saying no, no, no. So thank you very much.
One aspect of me is very, very, very much in favor of regulations that circumvent local authorities, especially in agriculture, because that's my background, but in a lot of things, because I like to see things done and people being able to move forward without a lot of regulations. And the not my backyard mentality not be the complete control. But public health is where we have to draw the line.
And come help draw the line in the sand, 'cause they're coming ashore.
Saturday, April 27th is National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day. From 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., bring any expired, unused, or unwanted prescription drugs to your local police department to be safely disposed of. Barnstable, Yarmouth, Dennis, Harwich, and Chatham police departments will all be participating in order to provide safe and convenient ways to dispose of prescription medications, as well to educate the public about the potential for abuse of prescription drugs.
Retired Dennis firefighter Nancy Moyer passed away earlier this month at age 68. Moyer was a firefighter and paramedic for 35 years, joining the Dennis Fire Department in 1985. A memorial service will be held this Saturday, the 27th, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Hallett Funeral Home in South Yarmouth, followed by a celebration of her life at St. David's Episcopal Church. In lieu of flowers, donations to the Dennis Firefighters Association can be made in Nancy's memory to honor her lifelong career.
Tails, scales, and wild things, oh my. Harwich Animal Control recently announced their Animal Control Talk series, hosted at the Harwich Community Center. The first of this free series is on a disaster and emergency preparedness for pets on May 10th at 5:30 p.m. Animal Control Officer Jennifer Harrington will be discussing different types of emergencies to prepare for, going over pet go bags, evacuation plans, and recovery for you and your pet after an emergency. The following event, a pet first aid classes, will be held on May 23rd.
The Alliance to Protect Nantucket Sound and the Cape Cod Maritime Museum are partnering to clean up Calmus Beach tomorrow, Saturday, April 27th, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. All cleaning supplies like grabbers, gloves, and trash bags will be provided. Following the cleanup, a reception will be held at the Cape Cod Maritime Museum with refreshments from Chez Antoine Cafe for all participants and the chance to win prizes from local businesses, including gift cards to Alberto's, Columbo's, and Black Cat Tavern, and merch from the Black Dog and Soho Arts Company. For more information, visit saveoursound.org.
The Cultural Center of Cape Cod hosted Autonomous this month, a gallery exhibition of AI art, hoping to challenge people's perception of what art is. Molly DeMoulineer, Executive Director of the Cultural Center, tells us more about this unique exhibit and asks, what is art?
So we have a current exhibition right now called Autonomous, and it's really about exploring this new disruptive technology that's on all of our doorsteps, right? Artificial intelligence. And when you think of different disruptors in the art world, it's happened over and over, starting, way long ago when photography came into the world. It was also this big disruptor, right? And so we look at artificial intelligence as very much one of those disruptors, but we don't look at it as destroying the world as we know it. And so this was really an exploration. John Stringfellow and his partner Val Gersher came to us and said, hey, we're interested in utilizing AI art, and we're interested in supporting an exhibition that explores how artists are utilizing it from generative work to ideation, and really just using it through stages of their creative process. I come from a science museum background, so disruptive technologies and future-focused thinking is something that I love to think about, right? Autonomous vehicles are scary to people. I put 100,000 people on an autonomous vehicle in Tampa, and now they use that as a first and last mile solution in downtown Tampa because people aren't scared of it. You just have to give them access to it. And so I love bringing that. And also where science and art come together, that's like the space of creativity, right? And you hear a lot about STEM, but it's really STEAM, right? Like STEM doesn't move forward without the A. And so that's what this is about. It's embracing technology and how the impact they can have on the art world. I think we had 167 comments on our first post about this. A lot of people saying, why are you doing this? You're destroying the art world. Why are you investigating things that could replace artists' work? And then we had a lot of people saying, hey, I'm utilizing this in a different way, and it's not about the replacement of artists. It's not about trying to replace creativity. It's about utilizing it as a tool. And the question posed in the prospectus is this art? Right? And in what ways is this changing the art world? And you're gonna see people using it in a lot of different ways. We have a gentleman who is writing a graphic novel about his ancestors immigrating in the 1800s. And so he is utilizing it as trying to get an understanding of what the space looked like in the 1800s and what their outfits looked like, right? How were they clothed and what did the environment look like? And then he's taking those ideas and he's doing original watercolors to create this graphic novel about his family. And so it's really great in the gallery because you have the idea of this is what he's put into the computer through prompts, right? And then you have his original watercolors in his sketchbooks. So you're seeing the real original artistry, but you're also seeing how he's utilizing it in the creative process. I would say most people that are in the gallery, it's a very new adventure for them. And we have a textile artist, a fiber artist in the exhibition, and she was doing some ideation around the retinal nerve and what that would look like. And so she used those prompts, put it into artificial intelligence, and it gave her ideas of what the eye would look like. And then she took that and she did original paintings and fiber work. And so these are new concepts, that she's starting to put into her everyday art practice. We have another gentleman who created these letters. He's doing a whole truth series. There's lots of types of truth these days, it seems. And so he's doing a whole truth series, and he created these letters in artificial intelligence that they're all kind of fuzzy and they almost look like maybe Grover or something. And then he made them in physical form. And so you have these big letters, they're big fuzzy letters. It's the fuzzy truth. A sign of our times.
Coming up after the break, sports and more. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Cape Media News. I'm Mitch Suck.
And I'm Lauren Williamson. The Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce is hosting their second annual Big Blue Conference next week at the Cape Cod Gateway Airport. The conference offers the opportunity to learn about the local work to leverage the latest innovations, scientific advances, and best practices to build prosperity while conserving our waters for future generations. We met up with Katie Atchison this week, the Economic Development Director at the Chamber, to give us more details about what to expect at this year's conference.
So the Big Blue Conference is an initiative by the Cape Cod Blue Economy Foundation to help demonstrate the scope of what blue economy means on Cape Cod, to highlight different industries, different businesses, and to bring people together to talk about sometimes difficult conversations around climate change, around project zoning and management, about how do we protect wildlife. So it's a way for us to bring everyone on Cape Cod together and really showcase what it means to be a blue economy. So I have the pleasure of programming the event and all the speakers. So if I'm feeling nerdy about something, I get to bring all of those experts together and put them on stage so I get to learn about stuff. So we did a lot of that last year. Hot topic ongoing is offshore wind. Last year, we had all three of our offshore wind partners at the time able to actually share the stage to talk about workforce development. And in the room, we also had Cape Cod Commercial Fishermen's Alliance, two groups, fishermen and offshore wind, that traditionally sort of butt heads, right? What I'm so proud of at our first Big Blue Conference is that they were able to hear each other speak and then follow up with conversation. So those two working groups were able to work together following Big Blue, and they both credit having gone to the conference and heard each other as part of the initiation for those conversations. So that, I think, is a really great example of how we can bring people together, have conversations, and let those conversations carry on in our work. So our conference is sponsored by Avangrid. So they will be presenting on day one of this year's conference. We've sort of taglined it, "It's electric." You can do the little boogie woogie in your head. And so we're talking about electrification of transportation. We're talking about grid capacity, and Cape Cod Gateway Airport are actually building a microgrid, a self-sustaining microgrid for the airport, which is why we're having it at the airport. It makes sense to bring the conversation to the space, right? And so Avangrid are going to talk about their role in transporting energy, right? And how does that fit into the grid capacity we're going to hear about from Eversource, and how do those two things work together? So there are, on paper, a lot of groups that seem like they might be competing, or think, oh, if Cape Cod Gateway Airport's going off the grid, what does that mean for Eversource? Well, they're involved. So on day 2 of the conference, we're going to get a little saltier. We're going to talk about coastal resilience and coastal land management. So we're going to have some ecological land care. We're going to have some coastal construction, the Fishermen's Alliance. We're going to talk about working waterfronts and the importance to the fishing industry on, these are people who live on land, they have to get on the water. There's a space in between, right, where they have to transfer. So how do we make those spaces really workable while also maintaining the life that lives on the coast? One of the talks that I'm most excited about is actually Dr. Sarah Sharp from IFA from the Dolphin Rescue Center in Orleans is going to come speak. And I think not enough people yet know that there is a dolphin hospital on Main Street, Orleans, which is wild. So we're going to learn why that's there and what kind of work they're doing and how we as residents and people in business on Cape Cod can support them. Even if you can't get a ticket to the event, right now they're still on sale. We do have what we call the Big Blue Expo, which is actually in between the 2 days. So day 1, Tuesday, goes 10 to 4. Wednesday, we go 8 to 2. In between, Tuesday night from 5:30 to 7:30, we have a free event open to the public at Cape Cod Gateway Airport Terminal, and it is a battle of robots. So I know, all right, so no fire pits in the airport, but we do have a middle school team and a couple of high school teams that build robots and compete state level, national level. Really, really cool. So we're gonna have a battle of the robots in the airport. And so anyone can come to that. We do have a registration link on our website if you wanna sign up. We're gonna have beer tasting and wine tasting and snacks. And some of our Blue Economy sort of partners, Climate Change Collaborative, Care for Cape and the Islands. So a few people there to talk about environmental, climate, Blue Economy, and robots. Oh, it's just so cool. So if you're not sure you can make it, you've got to work 9 to 5 or whatever, you can come 5:30 to the airport and actually check out the robots, which will be really cool. And then otherwise, just following along on what the Cape Cod Chamber is putting out there, we're publicizing all of our events.
The town of Barnstable is once again placing a call to action to West Barnstable and Hyannis residents to help determine Barnstable's future. The town is updating its local comprehensive plan to specify land use, housing, natural resources, and infrastructure goals. West Barnstable's meeting will be on April 29th at 6 p.m. at the West Barnstable Community Building, and Hyannis's will be on April 30th at the Barnstable Adult Community Center, also at 6 p.m. Your input is crucial to the future of your town and village.
Congratulations to Monomoy High School teacher Lizzie Sheptick, who has been awarded the William Spratt Award for Excellence in Teaching Secondary Social Studies. The Massachusetts Council for Social Studies presents this award each year to high school teachers who go above and beyond to actively engage students in authentic and meaningful ways. Lindsay Parker, Monomoy's Humanities Curriculum Director, nominated Ms. Sheptick for this award and said that aside from her impressiveness as a content expert and educator, what I find to be the most important is that students genuinely love Ms. Sheptick's classes. She has created a safe space without sacrificing high expectations.
Weldon Memorial Library is hosting a Taylor Swift album release party. If you have any tortured poets ages 12 and up, head to the library in West Barnstable on April 29th at 4:30 p.m. to make friendship bracelets, watch music videos, and enter a raffle to win Taylor's new album on vinyl. To register for this event, visit weldonlibrary.org.
Cape Cod and Southeast Massachusetts Rabies Task Force would like the public to be aware that wildlife rabies vaccines will be distributed in Barnstable from May 6th through the 27th. Coded vaccination sachets and oral vaccine baits will be distributed from helicopter and vehicles throughout wooded areas in Barnstable, intended mostly for raccoons. If you find a vaccine packet in the open, please use a glove or towel to throw it into the woods where children or pets will not find it. If no suitable place is available, simply dispose of the packet in the trash and wash your hands thoroughly. These packets are not harmful to your pets, but it's important that the vaccines reach the targeted wildlife to reduce the spread of rabies. For more information on the Cape Cod Oral Rabies Vaccination Program, visit mass.gov/DPH/rabies.
And lastly this evening, we send it to Ryan Downs with a recap of this week in sports.
Welcome back to the Cape Media News sports segment. I'm your host and local sports guy, Ryan Downs. The spring sports season is well underway, and Cape Media News took full advantage of it this week by attending a few games in person. So let's get right into the weekly recap. The Monomoy softball team traveled to take on Barnstable for their game on Tuesday. Being the away team, Monomoy had first at-bats, and it only took 3 pitches before the hit parade started. It became a very one-sided game, with Monomoy batting through the order 3 times within the first 2 innings. Barnstable managed their lone run on a single up the middle in the bottom of the 2nd inning. But the night was all Monomoy, led by Willa Layton and Alana Yoko. Yoko pitched a fantastic complete game, allowing less base runners than fingers on your hands, and Layton hit her first career home run. As the game progressed and Monomoy just kept rounding the bases, out of courtesy they stopped stealing bases and taking extra base hits in the 3rd inning, and continued from there on out. After 2 more brutal innings, the final score ended up being 26-1. Cape Media News was also able to attend the boys volleyball game on Wednesday, where the Red Hawks hosted the Quincy Presidents. The Red Hawks got out to an early lead in the first set, leading by as much as 8 points, and they really never let up, going on to win the first set 25-18. The second set was much closer, as the lead went back and forth between both teams. The largest lead came towards the end of the set, with Barnstable up 23-19. With some sharp defense, Quincy dug in and brought it back 23-23, forcing Barnstable to take a timeout. Quincy then forced the set into extra points and even took the advantage at 26-25 before Barnstable snapped out of it and scored 3 straight to take the second set 28-26. In the 3rd set, Quincy started off strong and had a 9-6 lead before Barnstable went on a tear and scored 6 consecutive points, forcing a Quincy timeout. After the timeout, Quincy managed to steal 1 before Barnstable went on another 6-point run, and then it was suddenly 18-10. Barnstable went on to close them out and finished the 3rd set 25-14 and won the match 3-0. So let's get into this past week's scores. Barnstable baseball improves to 6-1 overall record this week after a win over Doherty Memorial and a tight 1-0 win versus Falmouth on Wednesday. The school combined for only 3 varsity losses, 2 being softball, the other being boys lax, this week out of 14 total competitions. DY had another tough week, as the girls lax team was the only varsity team to win a game. On the flip side, Monomoy's athletics is killing it this spring. The girls' golf program is off to a 6-0 start. The boys' lax team is also undefeated with an impressive 7-0 record. And the softball team is on a hot streak after they had 13 consecutive days of rest. In their 2 games this week, they outscored Barnstable and Nauset 46-2. After another dominant victory with the score of 20-1 versus Nauset, Monomoy's softball team owns a record of 5-1. And Nauset had a mixed bag this week, with some teams winning and some teams losing. Their baseball team won all 3 of their games this week and extended their win streak to 7 games, with an overall record of 8-1. The boys and girls track teams remain undefeated, while the boys tennis team and the sailing team lost their first matches of the season. And softball had another insane game versus St. John Paul II. When these teams met earlier this month, the final score of their game was 34-31. This time around, Nauset went to St. John Paul II and fought hard for a crazy 37-21 victory. And that's it for this week's sports update. Back to you, Lauren and Mitch.
Thank you for joining us this evening. If you have a story that you would like to see covered, send us an email at newstip@capemedia.com. capecadet.org.
And tune in every week for more hyperlocal news that matters on Channel 26, Apple TV, Roku, and Fire TV.
Be sure to follow us on all of our social media, including Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. For Cape Media News, I'm Lauren Williamson.
And I'm Mitch Sock.